What's up, sports bettors? The games are about to start. I'm going to be taking you through very briefly some plays on PrizePicks, Underdog Fantasy, and ThriveFantasy that are very sharp, and I recommend you bet. So we have a very good-looking play here. We actually middled Raheem. We have him under 2 receptions on PrizePicks to win $1,000, and if he goes over 1.5, we win $3,000 on Underdog Fantasy. So what I'm hoping for is he has exactly 2 receptions, so this wins. And then this one pushes, and then this will become a 3-pick power play, and we will win $100. But anyways, let's go ahead. Let's get into some of the picks we have. So first of all, what is the difference between all these platforms? I said we're going through Underdog Fantasy, we're going through PrizePicks, and we're going through Thrive Fantasy. They're all slightly different, you know. They also all have different odds. So another way you can think about it is right here, as an example. For Ezekiel Elliott, his receptions line on Underdog Fantasy is an OU of 1.5. On PrizePicks, it's at 2. Thrive Fantasy doesn't even have lines in this game for player receptions. So all these bookmakers have different odds, so ideally, you should click the links below and sign up for every single one, because more the merrier. The more sportsbooks you have, the more profitable betting opportunities there could be, because every sportsbook has different odds, right? So like, as an example, the first play you'd want to be on Underdog is Elliott over 1.5 receptions in a 3-pick power play. That's actually the top positive EV bet currently on OddsJam with a 7% profit margin, right? You'd want to be all over this on Underdog Fantasy. So again, we only play 5-pick and 3-pick entries on Underdog Fantasy, and the reason is they offer better implied odds for 3-pick entries than for 2-pick entries. So a way you can think about this is on Underdog Fantasy, what you'll notice is for any 2-pick entry, so if we just go here, for any 2-pick entry, any 2 picks you select, you're getting 100 to win 300, right? So that's minus 137 implied odds. Now, if you decide to go with a 3-pick entry, you're actually getting 100 to win 600, which is better implied odds at minus 122. So you're basically getting half the juice. And this can be hard to wrap your head around, but basically when you're playing on Underdog Fantasy, you should assume that you're betting at minus 122 odds if you're playing a 3-pick power play or a 5-pick power play, and you should assume you're betting at minus 137 if you're playing a 2-pick. So 2 picks are horrible on PrizePicks on Underdog Fantasy. PrizePicks offers horrible prices in general, but their 4 picks aren't terrible, so when 4 plays line up, I'll take them for their money, you know? But anyways, let's go ahead. Let's go back to browsing around. So why do we like this Ezekiel Elliott play? And again, you can browse odds for free on OddsJam for NFL. If you don't care at all about the math, it's kind of just rational, sports betting. Every sportsbook here has the over for Zeke heavily juiced. Minus 162, minus 179, minus 160, right? And on Underdog, so if we go to Elliott, on Underdog, what you'll notice is, right, like they're not varying your payout depending on if you select the over or the under for Elliott. It's 100 to win 300 in a 2-pick power play. On sportsbooks, that's completely not the case, right? Like if we go to football and then we go to the Cowboys game very briefly. So this game's at 4:25 p.m. If we go to receiving props and then we go to player total receptions and we go to Elliott, if we included this in a parlay with, let's say, Seahawks money line, we'd be getting plus 385 if we took the over for Zeke. Plus 385 is the odds on this parlay. Now, if we go to, what am I doing here? Let's find the Cowboys game. Now, if I go back here, and I'm not trying to take forever on this, if I go back here and I pick the under, it's going to go from plus 385 to a lot juicier odds, plus 578. So why is that the case? Well, that's the case because the over is a lot more likely to occur. You essentially have 1, 2, 3. Every sportsbook is telling you, hey, the over should be extremely juiced. Pinnacle, the sharpest bookmaker in the world, they're pricing the over at minus 184. Bet online at minus 172. So Pinnacle's all the way up at minus 184 on Zeke over 1.5 receptions, right? And we're getting this minus 122 implied odds in our Underdog Fantasy entry. So that's a play you want to be on, right? When the sharpest bookmaker is pricing something at minus 184, so the true odds would be minus 152 if you remove the vig. That's just a play you want to be on. You know, you don't even have to overthink it. Minus 184, we're getting minus 122. Sharpest bookmaker, Underdog Fantasy, hammer it. Bet and bold with a circle around it. So PrizePicks, let's get to it. Singletary, over 2.5 receptions. Hall, over 2.5 receptions. Brandon, over 3.5 receptions on Underdog. Marvin Jones, under 3.5. Mike Williams, under 5.5. Look at all these profit margins, too. There's a ton out there. So here's a play I locked in. Gabe Davis, over 3.5 receptions on Thrive. So I'm a big fan of this Thrive platform, and the reason is, if you go to Thrive Fantasy, you'll notice any 2 picks you select, right, they're giving you 100 to win 360, right? 100 to win 300 is the way it works on Underdog. On Thrive, it's 100 to win 360, so it's a lot more advantageous for the sports bettor. They're giving you a lot better implied odds, only at minus 111. So this is like a low vig, a low juice fantasy site. And over 3.5 receptions is incredible for Gabe Davis. That is a play we want to be all over. Right? So I locked it in. And then you can see if you also prefer his receiving yards, it's a lower profit margin, but you could go with it. And then another one we have is Tyler Lockett, over 5.5 receptions. So I put them both together, this Tyler Lockett play right here, and then also, Gabe Davis over 3.5, because you can't pair the same player twice, unsurprisingly. So I ended up with this. We have a lot of plays open that we previously gone through, but Lockett, Davis, over 5.5, over 3.5, last minute NFL play on Thrive Fantasy. Again, you get a $100 deposit bonus on these when you sign up. Super awesome. Platforms, bets we were able to take advantage of. Let's make some money, guys.